Good night. My name is Marv Fox Jr. Two quick thoughts, two quick ideas. Just want to throw them at you, and hopefully this will help you to. These will be life hacks for this crazy world we live in. Number one is know your value. I know that's cliche, but I'll tell you why. And then the other concept is unavailable perfect fits. Right? What happens when the perfect fit is unavailable? The unavailable perfect fit. We'll start with knowing your value. I had an awesome learning experience. It wasn't awesome when I was going through it, but now in retrospect, in hindsight, it was awesome. I learned what it is to truly know my value. Sometimes, man, when you are working a 9 to 5 and you work for someone, you don't think about your value, right? Because your check is your value or your salary is your value. So your value is based upon what am I going to get paid on the 1st and 15th, or what am I going to get paid the 1st of the month, or whatever the case may be. That's how you kind of define your value. I work this job. My value is $60,000 a year, $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year, so on and so forth, right? But some people who are entrepreneurs, they really have to know what their value is. When they come into a room and they have to negotiate with someone else because they're about to provide a service to someone, if they don't know what their value is, they could get jerked, or maybe they could get themselves in a sticky situation where they're offering their services and they're contracted and now their hands are tied behind their back because they don't want to renege and create and develop a bad reputation in the business world. So they do the work, but and they realize that they're giving more than they're receiving, or this not equal. It's not an equal give and take. You see what I'm saying? So it's necessary that if you're an entrepreneur, you have to know what your value is, and you have to know what you're worth, right? And that could be a dollar amount, or it could just be from a I don't know. Maybe there's things that you're willing to kind of compromise as it relates to money, right? But maybe there's some other things that you're not willing to compromise on, right? Whether it's travel, it's time, it's maybe the work environment itself. Like, I'm going to come here and do this work. I might give you the discount, but I'm not going to tolerate these people talking to me this way. I'm not going to tolerate the behavior of certain folk and being in a toxic environment, an unsafe environment, so on and so forth. So you have to know what you're worth, what you'll tolerate, what you won't tolerate, so on and so forth. So it's really, really critical that whether you own your own business or whether you are not a business owner, you work for someone else, you still need to know what you're worth, right? In that conversation, again, there's an entrepreneur who might say, well, the money situation, we can negotiate the money situation, right? I'm willing to give somebody a discount. I'm willing to work with different organizations, nonprofit organizations. I know they don't have it, but I still want to do the work. So we can work with the money part, right? But when it comes to how you treat me, how you talk to me, how do you all set me up to do my work, or based upon prior conversations and things of that nature, those things have to be in place. And if they're not in place, we got to have a conversation. And I think that same thing can be said for people who do have jobs, who do have these 9 to 5s, and you working for an employer. Again, what is your worth? If you're in a situation where the environment is crazy, it's unsafe, it's incredibly toxic, you leave home and go to work and get stressed out, or you feel stressed going to work. I know some jobs are stressful, but the environment doesn't have to be even more stressful than the work itself, right? So if you're going to the office space and there's somebody in there that's crazy, that's threatening people and like doing all types of crazy stuff, that's where you have to identify what your worth is and what you're willing to put up with and what you're willing to tolerate, and what you're willing to tolerate, so that you don't. Again, life is driving you crazy. Your family's driving you crazy. You don't need to go to work and have people at work driving you even more crazy, right? Because then when you go back home, you're going to be no good. So again, knowing your worth, knowing what you're worth, is a conversation that you need to have with yourself every single day, so that when you get put in certain situations, you can tell yourself, no, I'm not doing this, I'm out. Simple as that. I'm not doing this, I'm out. This opportunity isn't worth it. This situation isn't worth it. The money isn't worth it. This drive isn't worth it. Your partnership, your recommendation, your affiliation, it's not worth it. The stuff that what I'm doing for you and what you're doing for me isn't equal. I'm out, right? Really, really important. The second thing is the unavailable perfect fit. I realize that sometimes God will, in the universe, all depending, I don't know if you believe in God, I do, right? So I always like to say, if you don't believe in God, then we can just sub God in for the universe, or universe can sub in for God, however you want to understand it. But God and the universe can kind of be interchangeable. But here's the thing. Sometimes the God or the universe will present you with a perfect situation that you think is perfect and make it unavailable just to help you, just to remind you that they still have something that's even better than what you thought was a perfect fit. And that's tough, right? Here you thinking that this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. This is going to be a game changer. It's going to make life so easy. And God or the universe will say, I just want to show you what this looks like. I want you to think that, I wanted to see what your perspective is on this. What's your opinion? You think this is perfect, right? You think this is awesome. Just so that God can say, well, guess what? I got something even better than that. You thought this was perfect? I got something even better than that. That's nothing in comparison to what I got in store for you. So I'm not saying no, I'm saying not yet, right? I'm not saying no to everything that you want. I'm not saying no to your dreams and aspirations, your goals and all of that. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying not yet, right? There's some things that got to develop. You got to develop in this area. These other people have to develop in this area. There's a timing piece to it. There's a bunch of things moving on the backside of things, on the behind the scenes that you'll know nothing about. You'll never know anything about, right? I got to make sure that all these things are set and put in place so that when you're ready, everything can feel just right. You dig what I'm saying? So it's a tough lesson to learn, man. It's a tough lesson to learn because sometimes we're down and we feel like we're on our last leg and we're really hoping that this thing falls in place, and then it doesn't, and it can be devastating. It can be heartbreaking, right? But we have to realize that sometimes what you think is a perfect fit is unavailable to remind you that there is something even more fitting down the line. All right. And also, what you think is a perfect fit might be a distraction. What you think is a perfect fit might be a distraction. It might distract you from something else that you need to be focusing in on, right? So this wanted to give you those two. I don't know. I won't say they're not tokens of advice. They're just perspectives that sometimes you have to realize that the perfect fit might be unavailable for a reason, and you always have to make sure you are aware of your purpose. Okay, I hope that makes sense. 7 minutes and a couple seconds. My name is Marv Fox Jr. As always, I hope all that stuff makes sense. Done.